Check it. What's up, y'all? Man, week 5 didn't disappoint. What's going on? I'm Tvshka. Josh, how we doing, my dude? How we doing?
It kind of did disappoint, depending on if
Well,
you like your team.
I am disappointed, but there was points. There were points.
There were points against my favorite team,
Yeah.
but there were points. The points were had by
Yeah.
a lot. Yes, I am wearing a Dallas sweatshirt, but I am going to change right now
Yeah.
into something that actually won this weekend. So just bear with me.
Okay. Well, hey, while he changes, I'm going to sport my Oklahoma shirt, baby. Let's go. Suck it, Texas. Red River rivalry. They had our number last year whenever we had people injured and out. Don't know what your excuse is this year, but yeah, no, man, it was a fun weekend of football. I was out of town the whole weekend, so had to watch a lot on my phone or listen to the radio in the car. Had a family reunion, which was great. Got to swap Chief stories with a lot of my family that's in North Arkansas, Missouri. My uncle Gene met Lynn Dawson and one of the defensive Buchanan back like whenever they won the Super Bowl, and it's cool. I mean, it's cool to kind of hear stories from not just relatives but like seasoned vets. I mean, he's got to be 85, maybe close to 90, so he's got a lot of those 1960 stories of the Chiefs football. So runs deep, baby. It's not just we're not fair weather here, boy. Not fair weather, but that's a nice shirt, man. That looks like a good shirt that would run it back.
Yeah, right? Not to get any religious warfare here, because we're in a weird time for that. But we did. My team did defeat the Catholics of the Notre Dame in football, not
Irish
in
Catholics.
the really bad thing. My prayers and thoughts and everything are to those people that are dealing with that stuff. Not to mean go political, but that's kind of how it happened. But yes, my Dallas Cowboys sucked this weekend. So
yes.
Therefore, we are pivoting, and I know there's the Lamar Jackson you see here, but guess what? He was a Cardinal. And I know I'm wearing a Lamar Jackson jersey, and yes, he did suck right now, but it wasn't his fault. If you look at the actual tape, his receivers dropped everything.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, they did, and I was only able to watch some of the highlights, kind of live as it was happening, and yeah, they're just after a little bit. I was like, you know what, I'm not going to win this. And Giff, our guy coming in, saying he felt pretty guilty for beating a homeless guy this week. The reason why is because my team name is some homeless guys.
Yeah,
but so yeah, man. I mean, ups and downs, but
yeah,
there were points though. I mean,
there was a lot of
week
points.
1 or 2 where we just didn't have a whole lot of touchdowns.
No.
I mean, for the most part, like every game was in the 20s, 30s, some in the 40s. God, those Niners though, bro, they were for real. But are they peaking too early?
No.
Right? I mean, are they showing up too early, showing their cards a little bit too too early? And will they sustain the injury bug throughout the rest of the year? We'll see. But who did not sustain the injury bug?
Right. But I mean, as far as I know, the 49ers have always they always sustain the injury bug when it gets to playoffs. That's when it hurts them.
Yeah.
But the 49ers are definitely the team to beat. Like, I mean, they look like the best team since the 72 Dolphins and the 85 Bears. Like, they just defensively, offensively. And it's like, well, Brock Purdy's that good. I'm like, I want to give my props to Brock Purdy. He runs the offense perfectly. That being said, if you put another okay court, like, I want Brock Purdy. It just sucks that I'm giving this to Brock Purdy just because he's such a okay quarterback.
He's vanilla. Let's just put it that way. He's not exciting. He's not boisterous.
He doesn't do anything special.
He doesn't do like the crazy plays. He just 10-yard route, boom, and then Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Ayuk. I mean, all the other, Kittle. Good Lord, Kittle. I mean, all those stars are the ones that do, to me, a lot of the heavy lifting. But you got to know the plays. You got to be able to know the plays and know where to throw it. Yeah. He does a good job.
I mean, he just, like, Rex Ryan came out today, was like, if you put Mac Jones in that system, he'd be better. I'm like, I don't know about that. You just don't.
Mac Jones?
Mac Jones, yes, that's what.
The guy that's grabbing everybody by the crotch?
There's
And
there's
it's
there's,
Marshawn Lynch.
there's an ego. Like there's a reason that Brock Purdy was better than Trey Lance. I'm just saying. So give Brock Purdy his due. That being said, he's still like a Kirk Cousins. If you put Kirk Cousins in that system, I think he'd be great. But then again, they gave away Jimmy Garoppolo to keep to go with Trey Lance, and they ended up with Brock Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
And Brock Purdy is showing he hadn't lost a game when he plays the whole damn game.
Yeah, so, and no interceptions.
No, like what Brock Purdy is doing, we're just like it's like Lamar when he was like, well, he's going to do something stupid. He just keeps proving people wrong.
Yeah,
the whole time until Lamar goes against the Steelers and then his whole receiver core just drops balls. But
yeah, no, maybe they're dropping balls because they got broken hands. But who do you got for us injury wise? For this
for injury wise, it's a doozy. Actually, so your boy Travis Kelce, he had a scare. He had a scare. He was wanting to just go hang out with this girl for the rest of the season. Looked like because he went out, he just basically like went to cut and just went down. But thankfully, it was just an ankle injury. It was just he just took the wrong step. It wasn't the wrong step like an Aaron Rodgers or anything like that. He didn't practice today, which pretty much makes sense. You know, most big time players really don't practice on Monday anyway.
And
they get held out.
Got a really short week too. So
yeah, and he came back in the game. He played fine. So, but I did at least want to lead off with there's nothing big with Travis Kelce, but I did at least he is. If Taylor Swift put him on the map, so I got to at least talk about him.
I know, right? I did see that the Swifties are trying to create a coalition to get turf banned from the NFL. Because that's what it is, man. It's fucking field conditions.
As such an NFL fan,
yeah,
I and such a Travis Kelce, like I just loved how Travis Kelce plays the game and like him and his brother and like all that stuff. Like I was always a fan of them, and then like the fact that like you bring in Taylor Swift, and I'm just like, this is awesome. Just like it's like the other side of it, not the Swifty side of it. Like just like it just always just I'm just like I just want to just it's awesome.
Yeah, dude, he's having the best year like that anybody could have.
Yeah. He's and like him and his and like plus like with Kelsey's having a great time too. Jason Kelsey's wife.
Yeah, his own documentary.
That documentary is just you can feel the love in the world tonight or whatever the hell the lyric is.
Yeah.
It's
just in the air. Yeah.
In the air. Thank you. You can feel love in the air.
Can you feel the love tonight?
Anyway, so a big for the running for the Jets running backs, which mainly just Breece Hall news. Elijah Vera Tucker will miss the rest of the season with an Achilles injury. That could hurt you. You finally got the Breece Hall that you wanted. He's off the pitch count, but you lose a very big time offensive lineman, and they're already not a very good deep offense because it's so reliant on the run game now because Zach Wilson's not very good. So
really, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, so that's the reason I put it in the news, just because of that situation. Devon Achane, who has taken the world by storm, he's dealing with
averaging 12 yards by storm.
Yeah. He's dealing with a knee injury and is evaluated, so we don't know anything. Head coach Mike McDaniel's not saying anything further, so that's a big thing there. The big one that really hurts, Anthony Richardson. He's turning into Cam Newton real early. He ran with he ran like he had a concussion. He ran too strong. People were like, "Hey, watch out for the hits." And now he already has a shoulder injury. What took Cam Newton down a peg? His shoulder. And we're already seeing that with Anthony Richardson. I really don't want this to happen to him. But it's showing very early on just Colts quarterbacks that show a lot of promise are just getting cut down, and it sucks because I want these because it's nothing against the Colts. It's just and it's nothing against the players. I want them to obviously be studs because we see that in them. It just is what it is. Justin Jefferson is going through test on the hamstring because of how the season's going. They might sit Justin Jefferson for the rest of the season. They're 1-4.
Right.
And you're trying to sign him for another contract. What do you do in that situation? I'll ask you. Like, what do you do in that situation?
I mean, yeah, that's the hard part. I mean, what's Jefferson? Is he 30 years old yet?
He's in his fourth year.
Third or fourth year.
Like
so probably what, 28? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to let him go. But yeah, but at the same time, I mean, is this rebuild mode? I mean, because Cousins doesn't have that much longer, right?
Well, you're not going to sign Cousins again. You're going to let Cousins go.
Right. Yeah. So then, I mean, yeah. So then what do you look at? You know, having him sit out the rest of the year and try to get on the Caleb Williams bandwagon, or you know, or just any, you know, number one or first round quarterback pick or something.
Yeah, but I don't think they're.
Or maybe go for. I mean, maybe go for a line. Maybe build your line up, but yeah, well, that's tough. But
here's the thing: this is the most deep I've ever seen a quarterback draft in quite some time. As far as solid quarterbacks that I think that like okay they could be a Brock Purdy or something like that, like or better. Like there's like a handful, like there's a 5 or 6 quarterbacks. I'm like they could be Brock Purdy or better, which you know Brock Purdy's Mr. Irrelevant, and that's the barometer I'm using. But still,
yeah, you got Caleb Williams, Drake May out of North Carolina, Quinn Ewers, Texas. Let's see who else they got.
Sam Hartman out of Notre Dame, even though he sucked.
Yeah, McCarthy out of Michigan, McKinstry. Well, no, that's corner, not quarter. Yeah, Phoenix, Washington. I don't know if Gabriel out of Oklahoma would go this year or not.
He's not going.
Yeah, I mean,
unless
he
just keeps going and it just adds to his draft stock, which is still good.
I mean, if you win the Heisman, I mean, that's definitely the best time to jump out. But
it's the best time. But
yeah,
I just.
But then also, man, you got Marvin Harris Jr.
Yeah,
dude. I mean, you got some pretty good.
Well, that's what the Bears were like counting on is the fact that they could because they have the Panthers' first round pick. So they were thinking like, okay, we get they get the first pick and the second pick. So we get Caleb Williams on top of Marvin Harrison. And then Justin Fields as they're like I said in chat, they're coming out of hibernation. But anyway, we're still on injuries.
It's a short hibernation.
Yeah. So Daniel Jones got injured, but Brian Dable is optimistic that he's able to play Sunday against the Bills. But that being said, if I'm Brian Dable, and as much as I don't like dealing with Daniel Jones, I'd rather just be like, fuck it, bench him. Like he's not good. Him and Brian Dable do not get along. They just don't. What happened a year ago, is still an enigma to me. Because him and Brian Dable, you can just tell their sideline demeanor is just off. And Brian Dable made. If there's ever a person that's like, yes, running backs is actually like a position you need to pay, it's Saquon Barkley. Because when Saquon Barkley's on the field, they're okay. When Saquon Barkley's off the field, they are a dumpster fire. So.
Yeah. So for Jones, I mean, would you pick up his backup?
No.
Or would you just not touch the Giants' offense at all?
I wouldn't touch the Giants. And if Saquon is playing, I can flirt with it. And if you're desperate, but there's way more on waiver wire than going.
But you would give somebody very good for Darren Waller, correct? Please. Come on. I'm fucking handcuffed to this guy.
I'm aware. I'm handcuffed to him too. I'm trying to. find other people.
God bless him. I know,
on
right?
that.
He did decent, but yeah, let's go ahead and knock these out. Yeah.
All right. So
Is it
anyway,
Khalil?
Chicago's running backs, they're just all gone.
Right. Yeah. Not even one player. All of them. Just
all of them. All right.
Yeah. That's Herbert,
Khalil
Rashawn
Herbert, Roshan
and
Johnson,
Travis.
Travis Homer, all went down Thursday night. They literally was running their fullback. Okay.
Yeah.
They ended up re-signing another running back, Darrington Evans, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. I'm just trying to report it. Signed off the Dolphins practice squad.
Yeah.
That's how depleted. Like the Bears come off a win. Guess what? You still are fucked. That's just how the Bears are, right? On that. The Broncos, Javonte Williams. He wasn't active, but the thing is, McLaughlin did pretty well. So, and the Broncos suck. So I don't see them trying to rush Javonte back anytime soon. So if you didn't pick up McLaughlin, guess what? I'd pick up McLaughlin. Just because if McLaughlin did this well, they're not going to waste Javonte Williams, and they're just going to run McLaughlin.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, like I said, I mean, they're not like in high contention, so there's no reason to rush it and come back. No pun intended. P. Ryan, I mean, I know I picked him up late, just kind of filling a spot. He did pretty decent as well.
Not like McLaughlin though.
But yeah, no, McLaughlin, he did great. And
his
our league, he got picked up last week. But yeah, no, he's definitely a stud to just run with. I mean, just see what he does. Yeah, I mean, just see what he does, and then whenever he, the gas is out, then look at something else.
Yeah. And just one. It's not also Tank Dell in a concussion protocol.
Yep.
So take that what it is. But the one random. It's not an injury news, but just a news. Yeah. The brotherly show, the Tush Push, however you want to call it. Surprise, surprise, is being brought up to the NFLPA and the NFL. Now, because they're bringing up injury-related data, I just think it's teams are like, oh, I just don't like the fact of doing this. Like they're just bringing up bullshit. The reason that they can't do it anymore. So when it's going to resolved, I don't know, but I think just the fact that they're just saying it's injury related is the most bullshit.
That's what they lean on every time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's for the safety of the players.
It's the safety of the players.
Because you care about people's safety.
Yeah. No, it's NFLPA that's doing it. No, it's because the players are saying there's no way we can stop it. So, it's going to injure us. How's it going to injure you? You're literally like going nose to nose, doing a 4th and 1 anyway. It's just the fact that you have two other people pushing the shit out of your quarterback in his ass.
Well, and I mean, I know we both listen to a lot of the same podcasts, but in the New Heights podcast, for one, I mean, credit the name Brotherly Shove. I can't remember who kind of put it out there, but it's hilarious because playing off of Brotherly Love, which is the nickname for the city of Philadelphia, who is notorious for doing this as far as the Eagles. But Jason was saying, like, he this year, I mean, he's made adjustments because, people were, pushing right at the same time he was. So now he kind of does one step back and then pushes. So they're even doing a delay because then the other team is going to come and then they basically push them down and then push on top of them. So, I mean, it's a dog pile. I mean, there could be, maybe some minor injuries, but I mean, it's not like it's a major high-speed collision like kickoffs are. No. I mean, kickoffs have been on the chopping block for a while, for a few years because of the high concussion rate, because you got both teams getting a running start and hitting each other. And also, it just takes up, that much more time and, it's not as exciting because there hasn't been a high, kind of scoring rate. Except this year, actually been pretty exciting. Quite a bit of punt and kickoff. But yeah, I don't know. It's to me, it's just
they're gonna
NFL just appeasing the squeakiest
Yeah,
wheel.
they're gonna make it illegal just because
Yeah.
enough teams are gonna be like, well, we don't have Jalen Hurts that benches that like deadlifts
Yeah.
500 pounds on top
Well,
of
then fucking
everything.
get rid of Kirk Cousins. Yeah, get a better line.
But thank you, Giff, Justin, and Brendan for joining us so far
Hey,
tonight.
there we go.
And everyone else, just feel free to chime in with your comments. We'll get to them. I will highlight Justin's
I was gonna say,
situation
let's get
here.
to some of them right now when we got a chance.
Yeah, the Bills losing to the Jags and injuries suck. Not gonna lie. Yeah.
Ooh.
We're gonna get to the Bill situation and the frustrations that happened in the wild card. On that. But yeah, when you travel overseas, guess what? There probably is jet lag. That was the one thing I was going into it. I'm like, the Jags have been over there. They already played a game. They didn't move anywhere else. And they obviously won a game, but then they're well coached team. And then the Bills just really just traveled over there. I mean, that has some repertoire to it, and it's onto it. So.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy how much they're trying to shop the Jacksonville Jaguars.
They're the London Jaguars at this point.
Yeah, right. But then but I mean they're getting that new stadium, so I can't imagine that the city's going to put in that much money just to get rid of them. But
no. It's literally the fact that they went to London, Justin. That's it.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the fact that the Bills are still a Super Bowl contender. They are. It's just they literally had to travel across the pond, and the Jaguars were already there, so they didn't have to worry about this stuff. And you think it's a hard time for take a road game anyway? Travel across the pond, and when a team's already there, that's tough.
Yeah, and the Chiefs and Bills are going to be, or not Bills, Dolphins. Chiefs and Dolphins are going to be playing up there at Frankfurt here next week or the week after. Then also a good friend of the show, Brendan Marr. Good to see you, brother. Appreciate y'all. Anything else on injuries or?
No, that's pretty much it. I was going to close on the tush push or the brotherly shove.
Yeah. I like the brotherly shove. I think that's good branding for it.
Yeah.
But so now we're down to top 10.
Yeah.
Man, this was a pretty interesting top 10. Some quite a bit of new names, new faces. But yeah. So overall top 10, Jamar Chase with the 50 burger, 52 points. DJ Moore coming at 49. Travis Etienne at 36. Zach Moss scoring 34 points on my bench. But then Justin Fields, your boy, he's been top 10 for 2 weeks, man. He may be getting a little bit of a condo in the top 10 or something. But Tyreek Hill at 32. Josh Allen, even though hard loss there overseas, still got 29 points. Brees Hall, like we talked about, lineman injured, but he was able to get 28 points and had himself a good day. The tush pusher himself, Jalen Hurts, with 28, and then had him feeling coming in at 28 points, man.
Who?
Yeah, had him feeling. Yeah, it's more than a Thielen, man. More than a Thielen. He's doing good. But for the quarterbacks themselves, though, we got Josh Fields coming in at 33, and Allen 29, Hurts 28, Goff 27 points. Congratulations, Giff. That was miserable watching those numbers stack up higher and higher.
What is going to happen against Carolina?
I know, right? Which maybe is something we can talk about a little bit later as far as defenses or bad offenses to look at. But then Hal, I think this is the second time this year being in the top 10 as far as quarterbacks. 26 points. Ritter, again, 26 points. Is this a little bit of a trend? Who knows?
No.
Purdy, though, that's really the big story.
That's a trend.
Right. 26 points, not an insane amount of points, but good God. They just look so damn good. Other big surprise right here. Burrow. Is Burrow back in the building? Yes or no? Gut shot. What do you think?
Who they play again?
Don't worry
Arizona,
about it. Gut shot. Yes or no?
gut shot. No.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember who they play next, but I know they have a bye week in 2 weeks. So they have a little more recruit time. But he is not on a team currently in our league. And that may be the same for other leagues, surprisingly. May or may not be worth the squeeze. Who knows? But who definitely is worth the squeeze and shown up, Bryce Young. You know, I mean, as abysmal as that game was for them, they scored 24 points overall as a team. He scored 20 fantasy points. So good to see the young guy get at least a little bit of traction there. Then Kirk Cousins. I mean, say what you will about playoffs and prime time. I mean, he still had a good showing against Kansas City, and and even just outside the top 10 was Mahomes himself as well. Anything on the quarterbacks that stick out to you?
Obviously, Justin Fields. Like I said before, I know I talked about hibernation. I was talking about the rest of the Bears.
Oh, the rest of the team.
And even though DJ Moore, I have him
Yeah.
in like of my like 5 leagues that I have, I'm in 3 of them. And I started the one that I didn't start him in. I still would have lost anyway, so I feel better about my life because I didn't start him. But no, Justin Fields, I stayed the course. And if like Denver was if it wasn't going to happen at Denver, it was going to happen. And then it happened, and I was like, all right, well,
crap. I know, right?
Here we go.
It's
So
like one of those players. You're like,
I gotta
get
stick
rid
with
of.
him. And then I watched the Thursday night game. I was like, I got my guy back. All right. He's exactly what I thought he was. The Bears finally used him because they would run him on every first down play. They would just run him. I'm like, thank you. This is what you're supposed to do. You dumbasses.
Right. I mean, and it sets up the pass. It sets up play action.
Right.
It sets up the other running backs. I mean, you
And
got
they
to
realize
have him
DJ,
be that
and then they
threat
realize
because if he's
DJ
not that
Moore's
threat-
on your team. Like,
Yeah.
he's a good receiver.
Oh yeah, great receiver. But yeah, but if you can't have the quarterback with that kind of skill set be the threat, I mean, then you're really kind of throwing the whole playbook out. And
Right.
yeah, so finally they're letting him be him.
Yeah. The only thing I'm worried
and
about
he is him.
going forward is the fact that all of his running backs are hurt, and it just takes away from that part of the running game.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm worried about going forward. The other thing is Sam Howell. This is what garbage time does for you.
Garbage time points count.
Garbage time points count.
Year.
Dude threw for like what, 383 or something like that. I forget what it was.
388.
Game wasn't ever close. It was
51 pass attempts.
Right. Dude didn't do shit. And he's still in the top 5, top 6. Oh yeah, top 5. Sorry. This is what that's why garbage time is great. This is why negative game scripts are amazing. If you can find the right quarterback that match those game scripts. This is why like CJ Stroud, we're like, all right, well, CJ Stroud's probably pretty good because he's a negative game script. It didn't happen this week, but he's a solid quarterback going forward. Desmond Ridder. This will never happen in the next 20 years. Maybe he probably will. He'll probably be like the greatest quarterback this year. But he's never done this before.
Yeah,
he never showed
top 10. I'm pretty sure he was top 10.
He never showed he can complete a pass.
Right. Yeah. And he's definitely squandering Kyle Pitts' potential.
Yeah.
But
Kyle Pitts should teams should trade for Kyle Pitts. As fantasy managers, we should all just be telling every team not name the Atlanta Falcons, go get Kyle Pitts, because Kyle Pitts is a waste of talent on that team.
Yep.
How much did Drake London get this week? Nothing.
Nil.
Did he pass everything to Bijan Robinson? And as a Bijan Robinson owner, he's pretty much there. So, I don't understand why you passed up on so many quarterbacks to stick with Desmond Ridder when you have a Drake London who is he's a solid wide receiver. You have a Kyle Pitts who is a not godsend. What am I trying to say as far as like that type of player in the tight end position?
Yeah.
You know,
Just a specimen. I
yeah,
mean,
just a specimen.
like, I mean, if you were just to look at how the tight end position has transitioned,
Right.
and actually, I saw it with Waller. I mean, Waller's the same. That's the
He's
build
better
you
than
want.
Waller.
I
He's
mean, if
more
you were to
athletic than
create a
Kelsey.
player, if you were to create a player in Madden, that's the ideal tight end. Pitts is that,
Pitts is
and so is
him.
Waller. And Waller was lining up on the wide receiver spot. I mean, over on the
Right.
sideline as a tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just an
you-
absolute, prototype tight end. for
Prototype.
sure.
Yeah, that's good. But anything
Brock, else on quarterbacks? I know we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Brock Purdy just
Yeah.
I think he's averaging 2 touchdowns a game.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the greatest game manager I've ever seen in my life. I want to give him the crown. I really do. I mean, he's better than Trey Lance as far as game managing the game.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you have Christian McCaffrey, you can't really fuck it up that bad. And the only game he's actually lost that he started was the game they got hurt in. So maybe he deserves all the flowers you could possibly give to him at this point.
Yeah.
I know he torched my Dallas Cowboys defense, but it's like Shanahan. Is it Brock Purdy? Is it Shanahan? Is it more Shanahan than Brock Purdy? I don't know. But you have solid Ayuk. You have solid. Yeah, I know. It just.
Yeah, I was getting some of those comments here today.
Just
now.
I just love going into every season, and then we start the season off, and we're just we come on this show every week, and they're just like, man, Dallas is looking pretty good. I'm like, shut up, because I know what's going to happen. Because I know our quarterback. And guess what happens? Our quarterback comes down to fucking earth every gosh damn time. Was it Romo? Was it Dak Prescott? And we don't have an offensive coordinator that can do it. Our defensive coordinator is playing we have a godsend in Micah Parsons. And our defense is awesome. But then Trayvon Diggs goes out. I'm just tired of it. Thankfully, I'm old enough to see 3 Super Bowls. Because it ain't gonna happen ever again, apparently. Never. Ever.
That was the saddest music I could find. We're gonna have to start uploading some of our own music, by the way. Yeah. Okay. So sticking on quarterbacks. All right. So legit question. Purdy, consistent, ran through your Cowboys. Trey Lance went to the Cowboys. Are we gonna see that guy play this year?
No over Cooper Rush.
Not over Cooper? Yeah, because they did put Coop in. Okay. So no Trey Lance, but do you think we'll see more of Cooper Rush?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It depends on how it goes the rest of the season. I saw this coming because if it happens with the next one you have the Chargers, which if Dak Prescott has a bad game against that defense, then yeah, we're going to see Cooper Rush pretty quickly because that defense is
they're
not
bad.
that good.
Yeah, Khalil Mack. Wait! You just said bad? The Chargers defense with Khalil Mack, who got 6 sacks.
That one game, but look the rest of it.
Well, yeah, but still, they got a decent defense. I'm not looking past them. Whenever the Chiefs play him, I'll just say that.
No, I'm just saying if Dak has the same game he has against the San Francisco 49ers, who I thought they were the best team in football going into the game, and they just proved that they're the best team, arguably since the 72 Dolphins and the 85 Bears. Like there's the 72 Dolphins, there are 85 Bears, then there's the San Francisco 49ers, then there's the Tom Brady team that lost in the championship game against the Giants. The only reason I put them below the San Francisco 49ers because the San Francisco 49ers haven't choked yet. So,
yeah. Well, it's still early, week 5. But you know who it hasn't choked? Sorry, I'm trying to think of a good running back one. Running backs. They don't choke, they stroke. But anyways, we're gonna go with the top one. God, dude. I mean, ETN, 36 points, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just London. Maybe
It's
just
London.
Overseas he just really shines. But good for him to get back up there. Zach Moss scoring 34 points on my bench. Good job, bud. Thanks, pal.
Shout
No,
out
had
to
himself a career. Yeah, dude,
shout
had
out
himself
to
a
anyone
career
that
day.
was like, all right, after Jonathan Taylor signs this big ass contract, I'm still going to start Zach Moss. Shout out to those people.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you just had worse running backs in front and ahead of him than I did. But no, I mean, props to him. I mean, career day for his ass. So maybe that's just him trying to work towards getting a contract elsewhere, because apparently the Colts don't value him enough. Brees Hall, though, 28 points that we talked about before. Achan, right? 22 points. You said, they're giving him a little bit of rest this week. But hey, he's still chugging it out. David Montgomery having himself a day, 21 points. Kamara back in the mix, man. It's really good to see him out there. Of course, playing New England, who apparently is one of the worst teams this year, which makes my heart happy growing up, getting just shitted on by Patriot fans. But then McLaughlin, like we talked about, stepping in as the backup for the Denver Broncos for Williams and getting himself 18 points. Spears, I don't even know his first name. Who the heck is Spears? But he got 17 points. Tennessee Titans.
I think Taraji or something. I don't know either.
Not sure. It just says T Spears. Didn't even know there's a Spears in the NFL still.
I have an opinion on that, even though I don't know his first name, but I still have an opinion on that one.
Yeah. And then, Swift. I mean, Switchy 5 coming in with 17 points. Mm-hmm. And then Mostert coming at 16. Not like high scoring from the running backs, like we've seen before. No. I mean, it's for the top 10, but I mean, what are some of the surprises or the upsets that you saw this week?
I mean, Chris McCaffrey's not in there, for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And he's knock on wood, because I own him in a couple of leagues. Even though he still owns the record, I think he's like 15 straight games that he scored a touchdown. But he didn't have to do anything. George Kittle just took everything, and Brock Purdy took everything, so it doesn't matter. But Travis Etienne, this is what you were wanting. You were thinking when they brought in Tank Bigsby that, oh no, they're gonna split carries and Tank Bigsby's gonna get other carries, and he was getting goal line stuff. Guess what? Dude got like 0.8 points. Travis Etienne got everything. And so as long as they're in London, Travis Etienne, great. Zach Moss is running like someone stole a lot of money from him from paying the other running back. And letting them realize, like, hey, I'm that dude too. So he's playing for his other paycheck with another team. That's basically what Zach Moss just did today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So will that happen again? Who knows? But you're not going to bench him right now, at least next week. Brees Hall.
I'll flex him. I want RB1 or 2 him, though.
Right. Yep. Brees Hall, this is the first time that they didn't have a pitch count to him. This is they didn't have a pitch count or anything like that. They just let him run. And guess what? He broke one off for 60 yards or something like that. A lot of it's off that one run. Which a lot of these, I mean, it was just one big run that kind of made some of the points for him. Yeah, I mean, Achan, Mostert. I mean, Achan's here to stay. If you didn't think about that, Montgomery runs. Dude, I think the average is like 5.5 a carry. It's ridiculous what he's doing right now. Spears, this is what people have been nervous about King Henry for about the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is this other running back coming in and taking his catching and stuff, because he's old, he's getting older and stuff like that. Guess what? Spears in the top 10. And then King Henry. So and again, no disrespect to you, Mr. Spears. I don't know your first name. I just know that you're following the running back that is showing. This is why we've been nervous about drafting Derrick Henry for this many times.
Yeah, it's a Tajay Spears.
Tajay
And
Spears,
yeah, and yeah, like I said, I mean, catching was kind of a big part of it. You know, he had 5 receptions, or 5 targets, 4 receptions. 35 yards, not a ton, but in a full PPR, that is big money right there.
Yep.
Easy money too.
Yep. And then, I mean, DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
Who knew? You put him on you put him on a team with a good offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
He's been pretty freaking solid ever since he went to the Eagles. Who I was never expecting this, but especially with the way they run the ball. But the only thing is you see how many touchdowns he had? That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem I have with Eagles running backs. But if it's a top 10 running back, it's a top 10 running back.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can't get mad at points. I mean, that's actually more of a credit to him that he's able to get in the top 10 without any touchdowns.
Yep.
But yeah, we are at 41 minutes, so we need to keep moving through these.
Yep.
Wide receivers, we're just going to run through because you are going to have a whole segment on that with our wild card.
I will.
Jamar Chase, coming out of the gate with 52 points. Then the DJ Moore, 49, Tyreek Hill, 32, Thielen, 28, Pickens, 27, I think for his first time in the top 10. Diggs, 24, Hopkins, 22. Good to see him back. And with the Titans looking pretty good. Davis 22, Ridley 21, and then your boy Nakua the 20, and then tight ends. Yeah, let me switch it up. There we go. Tight ends. We got Kittle up at the top, stealing the points from your boy McCaffrey, but getting 3 touchdowns, man, off of 3 touches. Absolutely insane. I mean, they gave him the Randy Moss graphic. Of course, he didn't have 180 yards.
Your boy Kelsey's had 3 touchdowns for 4 yards once. I remember that.
Yeah. That was last year. That was great. But Kittle 28, Goddard 26, Kelsey 23 had himself a good day, especially in that second half. Logan Thomas, right? So that's a new name now, and one to learn possibly.
Yes,
there with Washington.
That is one to learn.
Yeah, 21 points. You got Laporta at 20. Schultz 20. The Waller, no touchdown, but he got it with the yardage and the receptions, which I'm more than happy with, because he's been sub 10 points for most of the year. Then Kyle Pitts, back in the mix with 16 points. Cole Kmet, maybe looks like more of a little bit of a steady job for him with 15, and then Troutman, the fisherman himself, there in Denver with 13.
Just real quick, do not buy into Kyle Pitts because he's in London. I've been talking it for years. When they're in London, do Kyle Pitts. When they're back in the States, Kyle Pitts sucks. I don't know why. Just look at their history.
Which is weird. You think like Drake London would be the other issue there,
right?
You think he would? But
Kyle Pitts loves London.
Yeah.
But that's all. That's pretty much all I have. It's pretty much just been Logan Thomas. Definitely like look into him. He's been pretty consistent. But the other ones, like Cole Kmet, maybe take a stab at him.
Right.
But everyone else has kind of been Dalton Schultz. They're hit and miss. It's hard to me to tell you like, oh, go after this tight end. Logan Thompson, one of these tight ends. I would take a stab at.
Right. Well, and one you're missing in the top 10 is Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Had a big drop there in the game.
And also Hawkinson. Hawkinson's not there either.
Yeah, TJ Hawkinson.
But that's the thing is
both of them might be right out of the top 10.
My boy, our boy Giff, was he proposed to trade me TJ Hawkinson. I was like, dude, just tight ends are just so inconsistent. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to trade for them. It's nothing against the tight end. It's nothing against TJ because TJ is a top 10, top 5 tight end. But week to week, unless your name is Sam Laporta, honestly, right now, Sam Laporta is the most consistent tight end in the league as far as tight ends.
Yeah, he's had a couple of down weeks, but even that was still 8.9 points and 9.6 points, and that's better than the average tight end.
And he's a rookie.
A rookie, and if that's his floor, with a ceiling right now being 22 points. Yeah, that's not bad at
Yeah.
all because
Sam Laporta is the best tight end in the league as far as fantasy wise.
yeah, because top 10 on the year is Laporta with 72 points, Kelsey with 67, Hawkinson 65, but then you have Komet with 64 points. And so for Komet, his floor was 2 points. His ceiling, has a higher ceiling with 27.6. So if you're really hurting for a tight end, maybe a good grab. I very much considered it just because Waller's been pissing me off this year. But it's also Waller. I mean, you just know he's a beast and he's going to deliver when he does deliver. But
and that's why I didn't trade for Hawkinson because I had Goddard. I was like, might as well just stick with him.
Yeah, right. Because it's apples and granny apples. I mean, it's the same thing, just a different week. Like as far as when you're going to get it.
But Laporta, I tried to trade for in some other leagues. I tried to trade for Laporta just because I knew consistently he's gonna get the targets. Whereas it's very, and once you find like a Travis, he's not a Travis Kelsey. There's never gonna be a tight end like Travis Kelsey. Okay, as far as like the ultimate points, targets, all that stuff. I get that. Travis Kelsey has just been injured this whole year. Has nothing to do with his skill level. He's just been injured the whole year. If it wasn't for him being injured, he'd be number one. Laporta be number two. But he's been injured the whole year. Therefore, Laporta's number one. And then you have those guys that jump Laporta every once in a while because they just have like a 2-touchdown, type of thing, like a George Kittle or something like that. Laporta is the most consistent target to reception tight end that you could have.
Yeah. And kind of jump back to Kelsey. I mean, he missed week 1 with the injury. But even then after that, 12.6, 19.9, 12 point even, and then 22.7. I mean, it's just
he's still the GOAT.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's the GOAT, but he's also he's wide receiver number 1 for the Chiefs.
Yeah,
and I think that's the biggest thing he has over Laporta and Hawkinson and everybody else is that they do have other weapons that they got to spread the ball to. Who knows now? I mean, maybe for Komet, because if your run game's gone, what does that look like for your pass game?
Well, your run game is and the Bears suck anyway. The tight end is a feast or famine. It's just like you roll the dice and hope you roll sevens, unless you have Laporta or Kelsey at this point.
Are you raising the alarm on Hunter Henry?
No, because of what they have going forward. The same thing. I'm not raising the alarm on Ramondre Stevenson. Because I don't care who you put at quarterback, who they have going forward. Their run defense is not very good for the next 4 teams they have. And Hunter Henry is, if you drafted a New England wide receiver, God have mercy on your soul. Why you did that, I do not know why. But Hunter Henry, no, I'm not raising him. I'm not big, and the reason I'm not moving off of him. Am I dropping another receiver that sucks for like a streaming tight end at the time? Sure, I'll do that. But
there you go.
But I'm not.
Yeah, because this week, I mean, of course, they got shut out. But he himself had 2 targets, but no receptions.
Yeah.
So 0 points. The week before, it wasn't a shutout, but it was a 30-point loss because they only scored 3 points, I think, right? He'd got 9.1. So even in a abysmal loss, he still got 9 points, which is more than some of the average tight ends. So
just because a team gets demolished, like negative game scripts isn't a bad thing if you have Nico Collins. I'll put it that way. As my co-host knows, if you have Nico Collins, you love negative game scripts.
Well, not this week, but last week, definitely we loved it.
Yep.
But who else loves negatives game scripts? Actually, that hate them are the defenses, man. Because those garbage times, those are points that really hurt your defenses. Defenses that didn't really get hurt by that was the New Orleans Saints, 24 points. Right? I know you're excited about that. I think that really helped kind of
hold on to the draft.
Yeah. Pittsburgh Steelers, right? I mean, they've been known for the defense in the past, but good to see them in the present with that at 21 points. The New York Jets, right? Talented at the beginning of the season, maybe not necessarily showing up all the time. Showing up here for Jason with 19 points. 49ers, man. I mean, they should have gotten more than 17 points, fantasy points wise.
It's so weird. Looking back, I'm like, how do they only get 17?
Yeah. I mean, just the point total because they got 10 points, but they had the one fumble recovery. They had 9 QB hits, and 3 interceptions. Like I don't get it. I don't get it. Let me double check just to make sure that's not wrong. I have been known to copy and paste incorrectly.
There's the biggest anomaly I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
In this top 10 defenses.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But it was 17 points, which is
no, not them. There's
I know. I was just verifying it. But okay. Cincinnati Bengals at 17 points, New York Giants at 14 points, Miami Dolphins at 12 points, Buffalo Bills at 12 points, Chicago Bears 11, and the Denver Broncos at 10 points.
So the biggest like how the hell did that happen? Is the fact that the New York Giants and the Miami Dolphins are 6-7 and they played each other.
Yeah.
And it was 31-16.
16. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. How did they become number 6 and 7? Well,
because of sacks and interceptions and shit like that.
Yeah. Two interceptions by the Giants. Two fumble recoveries? No, that's sacks. So 1 fumble recovery. Let me get this to where this stays as I scroll. But yeah, with the Giants, 2 QB hits, 1 fumble recovery, 1 sack. But the 31 points allowed. You thought that would have knocked them out, but they had 2 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, and a defensive touchdown.
Yeah,
which is big. I think that was the only defensive touchdown. Oh no, sorry. The Bengals had a defensive touchdown as well as the Jets and your Saints. Yeah.
But the biggest thing I do want to point out, obviously I'm going to defend my boy Lamar here with Pittsburgh Steelers. Historically, Lamar has been fine. He wins like 75% of it, 74% of his games. But when he plays the Steelers, for some reason, it's like Sam Hartman versus Louisville. It's like certain players when they play certain teams, like Patrick Mahomes versus the Bengals until this past season. Like he just, for some reason, he just forgets how to do stuff. That being said, his receivers like drop like 10 balls against the Steelers, which is kind of weird if you go back and watch the game. So I will defend my boy to the end of time, just much less as Tvshka will defend Patrick Mahomes.
Right, because for one, you're making it sound like Pat plays a horrible game against the Bengals, and he doesn't. We lose by like 1 or 3 points. Right. It's not like it's a bad game. It's just the final outcome is a little bit different. So don't get it fucking twisted, bro. Don't get it twisted.
I'm just saying.
But your boy Lamar had a shit game.
Yeah,
I know that, dude. Because
have you seen how many touchdown passes his boys have been dropping?
I probably threw my phone in the car like 3 or 4 times.
Because you have Lamar. That's what I'm saying. Like,
yes,
dude, Aguilar had the freaking ball like right here. Oh, he put him in the breadbasket. Zay Jones
in the end zone, right? Is that
in the end zone?
Yeah, right. That was rough.
Zay Flowers, Zay Flowers in the end zone, right there, in the bread.
And probably Aguilar too. I mean, it was like
it
was just like the Chiefs week 1, for some reason. But a division rivalry.
Yeah,
I mean, those teams know you the best because they play you the most, and it was at Baltimore, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But
TJ Watt ate, dude. He ate.
Oh, dude, yeah. He may get defensive player of the year again. If Khalil Mack stops, slows down with some of the sacks and production.
The two best defensive players in the league is Micah Parsons and TJ Watt, and then there's everyone else. As much as I want to give Nick
Parsons didn't show up yesterday. Man, he was getting worked over. But
he got tweaked the game before. I'm just gonna
that's true. They get a little injured.
Anyway,
yeah. Anything on defense? Anything else that stands out?
no. I mean,
Yeah.
it's defenses. Just look at the matchups. I mean, even when it looks like this day and age, like even when it looks like
Yeah.
a bad matchup, it could be a good matchup just because of how the scoring works nowadays. I mean, literally, like people are picking up Washington defenses left and right because they played the Bears,
Mhm.
and then after Thursday night, you had a -5. So,
Yeah.
at this point, like when I say like, oh, this offense sucks. I mean, I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers defense sucked. I mean, offense sucked. They didn't suck.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They showed up.
even and if you watch the video, even when they scored with that Pickens long touchdown, the offensive coordinator was pissed because they scored.
Yeah.
Just watch the video; it's hilarious.
Yeah. It's almost like, hey, mother, we're trying to get a good pick or
Like
something.
people are like
Yeah.
like everyone's like cheering. He's just like,
Yeah.
they didn't run the play I want them to, which is like a 3-yard in. It's just like
Yeah.
dumb shit.
Real quick, I did want to say only 5 of these defenses are on anybody's team.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I mean, kind of talk about streaming. I mean, is it a crapshoot? I mean, because you never really know. I mean, the top 10. I mean, you had the Broncos with 10 points, right? I mean, right behind, you've got probably like what do you got? The Raiders with 10. You have 9. 8, 7. Chiefs with 7. And Chiefs are a good defense, holding
At
their
this
opponents
point,
to 20 or under.
you're not looking
Yeah.
for teams that don't score. You're looking for teams that have bad offensive lines or quarterbacks that are turnover prone.
Yep.
Because you're getting points for sacks and picks. It used to
Tutties,
be back in
baby.
the day that you would go for like special teams, which I know it haunted you week 1 with the New York Jets, but that's very rare these days that actually like comes into play. It's more of just the sacks and the picks, or the pick sixes, which Dallas realized when Dak realized, oh, when my defense doesn't get 2 defensive scores a game, then I have to actually do something. Yes, Dak, you have to play.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't rely on Diggs and Parsons all the time.
Well, Diggs is not there anymore. Thanks for reminding me of that. But no, it's just picks and sacks. Sacks is the main thing. Is who's getting the most sacks, who has the worst line. That's pretty much where to focus on.
Yeah, before we jump into wild card, let's get to some of the chat here. Taylor agrees. I think he's agreeing to a trade. Yeah, I'll send you that trade here soon. We have it on paper. You already signed. Whatever I make the terms and conditions, you have to agree to. Yeah. No, but what he did say is that he did have Goff and Chase, and yeah, those two absolutely wrecked me. But yeah, I mean, had a good week, man. More power to you on that one for sure. Yeah, the Seahawks are playing the Bengals next. So the Seahawks, then they have the bye week. So yeah, I wouldn't be too excited about playing because the Seahawks are a good team as well.
Yeah, that could be a fun. Either it could be like, oh, I like our scoring, possibilities, or this is. I mean, I like the offenses in that situation.
Yep. Justin had to jump out, but yeah, bud. Yeah, good to see you. Appreciate you supporting. And you guys can see Justin. I was trying to match up the name for some reason in my head. Justin. No, Justin and Josh. Are you all sticking with Wednesday nights?
Yes.
Yeah, there we go, man. Yeah, there with the Reckless Wrestling. And then, yeah, Addison helped you out too. Trust me. Monday night, I was yelling as well. Or no, that was was it the Sunday night game?
No.
Yeah.
Sunday night game was the Dallas game.
Or Sunday afternoon, sorry.
Yep.
The Vikings.
The Chiefs game.
Yeah. Yeah, I just can't remember which time of day it was. Yeah, it was at my sister's house. And yeah, I had to keep telling my family, nope, that's not Madison. That's Addison.
Yeah, that's Addison.
I wish it was Madison the whole time.
Right.
But yeah, now let's get to next segment, bud. What you got for us on the wild card?
All right. Well, the wild card is when a wide receiver gripes, they go off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the stuff. AJ Brown, week 2, okay, versus Minnesota. He went off for 7 fantasy points. Guess what happened during that game? The cameras caught him bitching
Mhm.
at everyone on the sidelines because he wasn't getting the ball. Guess what happened? Week 3, 22 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Week 4, 39 fantasy points. Week 5, 19 fantasy points. Okay, there's more to it. Jamar Chase, week 2, 8 fantasy points. Week 3, 26 fantasy points. Okay, that's fine. Week 4, 14 fantasy points. Really? Jamar Chase only getting 14 fantasy points? Guess what happened? He got into they interviewed him the next day. That after the game, he goes, "Guess what? I'm open all the effing time.
Yep.
Every time I go on a route, I'm open." Guess what happens this week? He went off for 52 fantasy points.
Couldn't wait another week, could he?
Nope. Couldn't happen. DJ Moore was like, "I got this." And Jamar Chase was like, "Hold my beer."
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, which brings me to Stephon Diggs. What happened this week? Someone slammed an iPad or something on the sidelines. He scored 24 fantasy points, but he was pissed. I'm not saying he's going to have a career day next week, but there's a trend.
Yeah.
So when you see your receiver griping on the sidelines or someone points it out, I would be excited based on this trend.
So I should be hoping for Garrett Wilson to get rid of his Twitter along with Sauce Gardner.
I'm just saying
Right.
it's not a coincidence.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When the number 1 stud receiver bitches, the next game they are 2 times what they scored before.
Yeah. Now, what would you attribute that to more? Would it be players now are having so much more clout, like the NBA, where it's more of a players kind of environment, because they're not always subject to having to stay with people, right? Chandler Jones, you had other players. Man, the Raiders for some reason pops in my head, but where they have the choice to just leave, even if they're under contract. Hey, I demand a trade. Get me the fuck out of here. Or that's the money side of it. Or is it just that, hey, you don't want to do this? Okay, I'm going to bring the media into it. We're going to get public attention and eyes on this, and then you're going to feel the pressure as a quarterback, not as an organization. I mean, what would you attribute it to more? Like pressure on the quarterback or pressure on the organization for them to make that decision?
When it's Jamar Chase and with Stephon Diggs right now, it's kind of a rocky road going into it because they were like,
we were hearing
he
reports
doesn't like where he's at, blah, 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 even though he signed his contract and like all this crap, like preseason. And Josh Allen just throwing a bunch of dumbass interceptions doesn't help.
Yeah.
Like the frustration with Stephon Diggs is the fact that Josh Allen's just throwing just dumb interceptions.
Yeah.
On that.
Yep. Acting too wild and getting interceptions.
On that. So, and he's just pissed because he wants to win. Like I don't contribute. I don't really, but it's Stephon Diggs going to get his. So I'm just kind of like going with the trend here. Jamar Chase, he's frustrated because he's Jamar Chase and he normally goes for 170 and 2 each game. AJ Brown, it was a new offensive coordinator. And he was just like, "Hey, I'm open," and the quarterbacks are still getting used. Well, Jalen Hurts is getting used to the new system, so he's still getting used to. And the thing is also too, is his other receiver, his counterpart, is honestly just as good as he is. He's just more physical. On that. So at the end of the day, the quarterbacks are going to throw it because all 3 of those teams have Super Bowl aspirations, and they're that good to do it. Therefore, they're going to keep their studs happy. and that's why I'm pointing it out. Where they're not going to just like, well, if you're bitching, I'm just going to not throw it to you. No, if you want to win, you're going to throw to these dudes. And if they're bitching about it, you're going to throw to them. So that's why I'm pointing it out. So my conclusion,
Yeah.
if they're Super Bowl aspirant, like if it was I'm trying to think here, like Justin Jefferson, Drake London, yeah, like if he's bitching, wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Like Desmond Ritter's probably going to throw it to him because he needs to find somebody to complete a pass to, even though he's in the top 10 today.
Right.
But I'm just pointing out for these stud receivers, these like top 10, top 15 receivers that are supposed to be top 10, top 15 receivers that you drafted them for. When you start seeing them griping on the sidelines and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe he's stirring stuff up," you're like, "Yes," based off of what you're seeing.
Yeah.
So that's the wild card is when your top 15 stud receiver starts bitching on the sidelines because you're saying the same thing.
Wild card gif.
Yeah, when you start barking at your TV and you're like, throw him the ball, and you're like, why aren't they throwing the ball? And then you look on the sidelines and the receiver's going, throw me the ball. You're like, thank you. So it's not like they're being a diva or anything. They're just not throwing the freaking ball, and they are the better They're the better player. I mean,
yeah.
Devontae
Well,
Smith, I understand, but still.
Yeah. Well, and it's about that communication. I mean, I think a lot of people have kind of seen it with the Super Bowl run with the Chiefs. You know, Kelsey was like, "Hey, that seems wide open, man."
Right.
You know, they get to the line, and he's like, "Hey, Kelsey, do it." All right. You know, and just gets open.
Yeah.
So, so it's about that communication. If you're not having that and your quarterback's not receptive, sometimes you got to put a little pressure on him. Say, "Hey, motherfucker, I'm open. I'm going to tell the media I'm open, and then we'll see what happens next game."
But the numbers don't lie.
Right. Well, yeah, and to put some of the numbers to it, for Jamar Chase last year, he finished tight end number 11, but he was also injured for 4 games, possibly 5. He didn't get.
I mean, wide receiver 11.
Wide receiver 11. Yeah.
Okay, because you said tight end 11. So
I said tight end. Sorry, guys. Yeah, wide receiver 11. But yeah, he didn't get any points credited. That was the Buffalo game, so it looked like an injury, but it wasn't. But there was 4 that he was injured around the bye week. But yeah, had 230 burgers. Had a 28. So it looks like probably on average, probably about 20 points. So that's where 14 points is probably a floor for him, because his ceiling's high. And 52 points. Man. I mean, congrats on you as an individual setting your own personal record, but also at the same time, fuck you for doing that against me, man. Come on, man.
He did tweet out. He did tweet out after his game. He did tweet out just a picture of 7-Eleven, just so you know.
Yeah, right. All day.
That's all.
But it's not all day. It's only 7 days a week. You know, and then and what, they close at 11? Is that right?
No.
Yeah.
That was
he
never closed. I mean, that's what 7-Eleven is known for. They never close, man. So,
right, but what's 7-Eleven
always open.
For?
I'm aware of what you said.
Yeah. But no. Yeah, no, I mean, he's maybe not be Adrian Peterson, but he's definitely all day.
But that's kind of the wild. I was trying to grasp for a cool wild card. That was the one trend I saw after Jamar Chase just went off, because I was like, wait a minute, AJ Brown. They caught him on the sidelines bitching, and of course I have AJ Brown, and I like in one league, and I messaged my fantasy partner. I was like, dude, AJ Brown's about to go off, and he was like, all right. And then he's been consistent since then. Since he bitched, he's been good. Now, granted, Jamar Chase went for 8 points, and I know Joe Burrow's kind of hurt. I get that. But Jamar Chase has been up and down, not the consistent 20-point week. Dude went 26 and then went 14, got pissed off, and went for 52.
Yeah. Well, I will hold you to it. I am looking for 50 points from my dude Diggs.
I'm gonna put a prediction out there. I'm gonna say
let's go. Let's do this. Water bet.
no.
Oh,
30,
come on,
30, 38 for Diggs. 38 for Diggs.
38. Okay.
38.
I mean, water bet doesn't really mean anything.
No, but I will say 38 for Diggs. I don't even know who they're playing next.
Okay.
They
Well,
could be on
how
a
about
bye.
this? Right. So you're saying 38. I mean, I guess we probably should have done like an over under or something of
over
that
under
nature.
30. Over under 38 points.
38. Okay.
I
like it, man.
It's a big number. I understand, but
Yeah,
it's
that makes me not want to play Davis again because it's so hard to have two receivers.
Gabe's been the most consistent receiver on that team.
I mean,
even though Diggs has been, I mean, Diggs went for 24. It wasn't like he had a bad game.
Right, but I mean, but Davis has been, there's been quite a bit of games have been sub 10 points, but yeah, but I mean, he's always been, he's not going to, unless he scores a touchdown, he's not worth it, kind of thing. No. But no, he's definitely great. I mean, it's just kind of tough. I mean, that's where I'm looking at maybe putting him on the trade block now that he, had another good game, just to maybe try to get a better running back or something of that nature. But
Gabe's not bad. Same thing with me and Gift knows.
Yeah.
Hand up. If anybody wants Waddle, let me know. I'm open to trades on that. So I'm open to trade Waddle because I have 2 Rams that are really good. I have Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
So, and I'm probably going to start both of them at the same fucking time.
Yeah. So you're going the other direction. You have 2 good players on a good offense that you're just going to keep. You're not going to try and get rid of the second one and get another player on that one. Okay.
No, because they're consistent.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And consistency can bring victories, right? And victories is what we look for in our league. I didn't get one this week. You did. So congratulations to everybody that won. But yeah, man, what do we got for league scores?
All right, so we've got, and I'm just going to go from the website. I'm sorry. Let me look at let me look at what we've got here. No. Let me be formal about it.
While you pull that up, I'll just take apart the easy one. Gift kicked the shit out of me. Over and over into a bloody pulp. And just right in the crotch every time. Having Goff, he got 27.4 points. Luckily, Pollard shit the bed as well as the rest of the Cowboys. RIP. But Achane, 21 points. Chase, 52 points. I mean, that alone right there, those 3 could have won the most matches.
Yeah.
But then he goes on. He had to have Addison, who got 18 points. Hawkinson, even though it shows his numbers in the red because it was, sub what he was expected to do, still got 10 points, which is good. Swift, 16.8, and his flex because he has so many good players. Christian Kirk, right? Captain Kirk showing up, 14.4 points. But again, it is the London game. Butker scoring 10 points, which is more than most of my players in my team that are in my lineup and not on my bench. And then it's Dolphins. Yeah, getting, only allowing 10 points, getting 7 sacks and a forced fumble, getting him 12 points. Total of 191.24. That's hard to combat. Even if I had my bench, which I had Gabe Davis at 22 points, Zach Moss with 33 points, and Purdy with 26. Even if I had my bench in, I still would have lost by like 10 points. I mean, whenever you have a player go for 52 fucking points, it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Kind of hard because, whenever half your team doesn't score 50 points, it's hard to just really kind of, counteract that to where you're, that's going to equal a win. So, yeah. I scored 129.74. That's not a bad weekend.
No.
Not a bad weekend. Considering I would have, outscored 2-3 other people, I would have won one of the matches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lights, Camera, Action, Super Bowl Sam. But yeah, I need to message that person and just at least get their social security so we can run a background check.
Super Bowl Sammy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoever
that person is.
Obviously it's not him. It's Lauren or them. It's Lawrence Taylor. Um, and Sammy could be, male or female. So we'll have to get that figured out. But yeah, but it's like, not a bad point, but man, just a buzzsaw
Yeah.
of a match that I definitely gave up on very early in the day when kind of seeing where everything was heading towards. But yeah, what you got on the next game?
Well, I guess if you went over yours, I'll go over mine. I won by 2 points.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I'll take it.
Oh man.
When Justin Fields outduels Josh Allen, I'll take it all day.
Mhm.
But it was just a battle of attrition. Bijan had 11, Ramondre had 2, Tank Dell had 8 before he had a concussion. Jalen Waddle had 14, but my boy Dallas Goddard came through with that 25. Was good there. Romeo Doubs had a big old point.
Yeah.
Um,
It's all you needed.
yeah.
It's all
But
you
then,
needed was point.
but then I have my Pukas of Nakuas come through for 20, and my defense come through for 24. You know what?
Yeah.
And my kicker for 2 points was just enough to get me over the schneid. Because that's all I took was that other extra 2 points to get me there. Because I beat out Sam Laporta, Justin Jefferson, who wasn't very good because he ended up going out. Just luck has something to do with it. George Pickens went off for 26 points. He did well. He had the San Francisco defense again. How they weren't in the top 10, that only world knows. And I left nothing on my bench, so that's great.
Yeah, all your players except Dotson.
But he left Brees Hall on the bench, so I'll take that.
Yeah, he had Zay Flowers, Brees Hall. Elliott didn't really do a whole lot.
No.
And Bryce Young had a good day, but definitely, he had Josh Allen in, which was
Allen,
the top.
So.
Yeah.
So.
If you had Brees Hall, that would have made the difference. But at the same time, the Jets seemed like a little bit of a moderate dumpster fire, but they had a good showing against Kansas City. As far as gameplay, maybe not necessarily points. And then Brees Hall, had a great game against Denver. Looking at them and their schedule, they've got the Eagles coming up. They got a bye week, and then they have the Giants and then the Chargers. So, you play them against the Giants, maybe the Chargers, because then after that they play the AFC West, so they're going to have the Raiders. They got Buffalo, Miami. So there's some good games, but for Brees, you're not just like with any other player. You're not like locking him in and just leave him in, right?
It depends on who your other running backs are. I would play him over Najee Harris.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Thank you for saying that. So, Najee, I would pull the alarm on Najee.
If I have Jalen Warren, I'm very excited right now, which is his backup. He looks way better than Najee Harris. He's looked way better than Najee Harris. The only thing that sucks about having Jalen Warren is the fact that Canada is the gosh damn offensive coordinator, because he just does not want to give up on Najee Harris. I'm like, he's not it. Every time Jalen Warren gets in a game, he's the next coming of Austin Eckler. He has the quick. He's quick. He's bulky enough to break tackles. He's a pass catcher. Najee is slower than shit for NFL wise. So hence why I said that. It's not like saying that he's a bad running back. He's just slow compared to the speed that is the NFL.
Yeah, which is crazy because he's only 25 years old.
Right.
But Najee Harris is a name we've known for 4 years? No, I guess only 2 years as far as in the league.
All right.
But it just feels like a little bit longer. Yeah.
Gift just brought up a good question. Do you want me to take the gift question, or do you want me to move on? Okay.
Yeah, no, let's take the gift question.
Okay. So Stevenson, here's the thing. We talked about this pre-show. Okay. Here's the thing about Stevenson. This is probably the worst matchup he could have for the next 4 games. Okay, because what Stevenson runs into for the next. Give me a second here.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a struggling offense, obviously.
Right, but he runs into the next game. He runs into the Raiders, the number 19 defense, as far as rushing wise. Okay, then he runs into the Bills. Actually, they're the 26th in rushing defense right now. Then he runs into the Dolphins, which is 17th. Then he runs into the Commanders, which is the Dolphins, which is 17th, and then he runs into the Commanders, which is 13th. The Cowboys were 15th, and the Saints were 5th. The only thing that was an anomaly was the Jets being 23rd at the time. Other than that, I mean, he plays the Dolphins again. He went for 13.5, at least in another league, so that probably puts it to 15. So Stevenson, the next 4 games look very good compared to what those defenses he's facing. Now, that being said, if they scheme him out, then it is what it is. But I would not give up on him quite yet. But I understand where you're coming from. But the defense like the Saints was a bad matchup. They were number 5 against the run. So,
what about Zeke? You know, right? I mean, how does that how does he factor into it? Is he going to be a touchdown stealer? Is he going to,
he
be encroaching on points and touches?
He's not worth rostering if there's someone else out there.
Right. But I mean, as far as in consideration with Stevenson,
he could. I just don't, as far as because I'm looking at Stevenson as a pass catcher as well, and I think they're just going to move off of Mac and probably go with Bailey Zappi or somebody just starting off the game.
I hope for you Ramondre Stevenson owners, I hope they do.
Because of where they are now, it's just boot the season. Yeah. I mean,
and Zapp didn't look terrible last year.
He doesn't look terrible.
I think he came in a game or two and actually they did pretty well.
Yeah. So I'm not booting Ramondre because I'm a Ramondre believer. I mean, he was so good last year. Yes, there's different offensive coordinators and stuff like that, but I'm gonna stick with Ramondre at least for the next couple of games because it's a favorable. I mean, even some other podcasts I listen to, they're like, after the Saints game, I would try and trade I would trade for Ramondre.
Yep, on the cheap.
On the cheap, and I looked at and I was like, really? And I looked at the schedule. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense as far as rushing wise. But and he's a pass catcher. That's the thing. Is what other pass catcher does the Patriots have for as far as the backfield? So I'd stick with him for a little bit. I think he's going to take a step up the next couple games. It's kind of like where I was with Justin Fields. I'm like, wait till the Broncos. If he doesn't perform with the Broncos, then yeah, we can look at other options.
Yep.
I'm not giving up on him yet.
Yep. So you're sharpening the axe, but you're not winding up just yet.
I'm keeping the axe. I'm not moving the chainsaw just yet. So put it that way.
Yeah. Well, another chainsaw or buzzsaw of a match was the Reckless versus Olave Garden. Still your favorite name, Olave Garden?
Them and Dak Lives Matter. They're like 1A, 1B.
Woo, man. And you should be seeing my boy on Facebook, man. He's a Cowboys fan like yourself. So he was posting. And I think on several, I was like, I commented, this post did not age well because it was pre-game. And of course, my comments were post-game. But with the Reckless, 1 of 6.92. Not enough to beat Olave Garden, who got 150.64. Cousins, even though he broke even basically on kind of his expected point total, still got 19.86 points. Still, very nothing to sneeze at on that one. No. Kamara getting 18.7 points, right? That's a good surprise right there to see him back in it. Montgomery, I mean, we knew he was going to have a good game, 20.9.
David Full Montgomery is just going.
You said off. David Full?
David Full Montgomery. Yeah.
I love it. David Full Montgomery. Yeah. Full Montgomery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I
But
saw
yeah,
the fantasy footballers called him the full. He went full
they
Monty. I
call him
was
the
like,
full Montgomery.
and I was like, all right, David Full Montgomery.
But yeah, then he had AJ Brown, pulling in 18 points. And then Olave, only getting 9, but still, that's still some points. Higbee only 4 though, right? So tight end.
I'm kind of worried
Um,
about Olave. He was a little harping.
okay,
He was a little hankered before the game.
yeah. Well,
So
and he only got 1.4 points last week.
yeah, so he's a
9.2
little
this week against
he
New
he's
England, which they
he's
handled.
not 100%.
Yeah,
And even with Jameis Winston, Garrett Wilson's a better receiver than Chris Olave.
yeah,
But when Chris Olave is not 100%, I'll take Garrett Wilson.
yeah. Well, and they also have 5 weeks until their bye, as far as the Saints.
Yeah. So
So
Chris Olave
yeah.
is just Olave Gardens needs to monitor him because he is not 100%, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, don't change the name, but maybe sit the player, depending on the
Yep.
matchup. Higby, are you doing the same thing for him too? I mean, again, it's tight end, so they're up and down. But Higby,
I am going to ride Higbee like I do Goddard.
okay,
He's on a great team. He's
right,
targeted. With Cooper Cup coming back, I still like. It's the same thing with Goddard. Like,
right,
okay, Cooper Cup comes back. Guess what? They're still going to throw to Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup. And guess who the third option is? Tyler Higbee. Same thing. Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. Guess who the third option is? Dallas Goddard. So,
yeah. I feel like there's an argument for Tutu Atwell to be the third.
as a Louisville fan, I understand. I'm just trying to give as a
right,
Western
yeah,
as a Western grad, I'm more towards
yeah,
Tyler Higbee. And this
right,
point.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he only got 3 targets this game, so
Yeah.
that's where previous game he had 11 against Indiana. But before that, he had 5, 7, and 3. So to me, like the targets just really aren't that high. I mean, Kittle shows you can do a lot with 3, but also that is a fluke. That is, an anomaly.
That's the first time Kittle's ever
Yeah,
done that.
yeah, exactly, and it'd be the last time too.
Yeah.
I think that was his birthday gift because it was his birthday today. But I don't know. That one Higbee kind of concerns me a bit just because Cooper is back. And I feel like that's a lot of mouths to feed. It's the same reason why I kind of steer away from the Chiefs wide receiver room. There's so many mouths to feed. I mean, luckily they're actually establishing a little bit more of a run game with Pacheco. But anyways, yeah. So for that game though, on Reckless, Richards is the big story. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, he has been lights out when he is healthy and playing. Going out early, I really do wish there was something that we could do like substitution wise for players that get injured.
If they
Like
put him on
that.
IR, then he has an IR spot so he can pick up some.
Right. I'm saying in game. You know
Okay.
what I mean? Like, hey, if you're paying attention in game, somebody gets injured. Hey, you have 15 minutes to replace this person and you get the remainder of the points, something like that. But anyways, again, that's pie in the sky. But that really hurts. And then
Yeah.
at Breida, that hurt as well. 3.4 points against against Miami. And then Mixon got 13.4, but was a little bit under what his expectation was. Marquise Brown, 16 points.
He's been consistent for being a Card.
Yeah.
He's been very consistent all season. He's not been like the greatest receiver. He's not been the bad receiver. He's a solid wide receiver 2 to 3 all season long. Like he's a great flex play. You have to keep him in your lineup. He just every week he comes out and just performs.
Yeah, and probably one of the most consistent we've seen as far as points, even because I mean, week 1 everybody was a little bit light on the tutties and the productivity, 8.7, but then the rest of the year 17.4, 17.10, 16.6, 16.10. So I mean, right there within a full point of each other.
Yeah, he's a top
little bit of
receiver.
A downward trend as far as point total. But his targets are actually been right about 10. Yeah. So I mean, 10 targets, half that I mean, that's 5 points right there. I mean, then you have the yardage on top of it. But he has 3 touchdowns on the year. Yeah. I mean, would this be a good trade prospect? If you're needing somebody?
If someone is desperate for a
Yeah.
receiver, yes, this would be a great trade
Yeah.
prospect. It's just the fact of because if he's your wide receiver 1, I'd freak out. If he's your
Right.
wide receiver 2,
Mhm.
I'm not too freaked out. If he's your
I'll
flex,
be happy if he was mine. Yeah.
if he's your flex, then I'm like, oh, okay, I could see some trade bait here. Because could he go off for 30 points 1 week? Sure. He gonna average 20. He's gonna average 14 to 15, at least in this league.
Yep.
Which is fine. That's a wide receiver 15. That's a wide receiver 20 to 15 at the end of the year. That's what it is.
Mhm.
And the thing is, he's injury prone. He hasn't completed a whole full season. He hasn't. But that being said, and Arizona's terrible.
Yeah,
But
I feel like Arizona is just injury prone as an organization. But
that being said, Hollywood Brown is a solid receiver fantasy wise. Because I've been having on my bench in another league which doesn't have this many players, and he's been like should we start him as wide receiver 3? And we're like, I don't know, because we picked up Jacoby Meyer. He's been solid, so we're like, I don't know, what should we do? And because T. Higgins got hurt, therefore we started Hollywood Brown, and he's been putting up, like you said, 15 to 16 points a game.
No, 16, 17. Yeah.
16, 17. So, I mean, I would probably package 2 players I would probably put Hollywood and someone else and try and go for a stud with someone else that just needs a little bit of help. Because if you want honesty, the Reckless needs to make some moves.
Yeah. Because looking at the rest of his crew, got Jacoby Myers, picked him up off the waiver. I know Myers was on my watch list, but had a good game this week, but last week had 5 points. And, and then week 2 didn't play. It looks like possibly because of injury. So, and then Andrews, got 12.5 points, which is good, but and 25 points last week, but 7.5.
I mean,
so
he got hurt with Eckler going out, so
yeah. As far as Andrews,
no, as far as Austin Eckler going out, week 1, that's where he really took a dip and didn't have any other players around it, so he couldn't take that hit, which is hard. It's tough to do. Like when your first round pick goes out
on his. Okay, I'm with you now. Sorry,
on his bench. Sorry,
I thought you were talking about Andrews specifically. Yeah.
No. Mark Andrews is fine. I'm not worried about it.
Right? Yeah. Is there any expectation on Eckler?
Coming back,
he was questionable for this week. Yeah.
I mean, Eckler came back. I think he's going to be fine for this week. I think he is. I really didn't see because he went on Twitter or something like that, was saying he's going to come back, but he can sit there and say that, and then the doctors can tell him something different.
Yeah, he's listed as questionable. They had the bye week this week, so that's where typically a lot of people kind of come back after. Because they got a good full 10 days rest or a little bit more.
But yeah, if I was a Reckless, I would look to see if I can make some trades, because just getting Austin Eckler in your starting lineup is not gonna. Unfortunately, with the trends that I'm seeing with your team, you need to make some trades, and it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, and I think he's falling into the trap that I did for myself, even though it worked a little bit better for me a few years back. He's an Oklahoma fan. So Mark Andrews, Marquise Brown, Baker Mayfield, Mixon.
Mark Andrews and Marquise Brown is not a bad receiver.
Oh yeah, no.
I think I've owned Marquise. It used to be like it was a trend that I owned. Like I had Mike Evans in for the first 4 years of his career.
Yeah,
which he's a Hall of Famer because every year he's had 1,000 yards receiving. It's ridiculous, like with Mike Evans. And Hollywood Brown, since he got into the league, he's been really good as a fantasy receiver.
Yeah.
He just hasn't been healthy for the whole thing. But the
Well,
Hollywood
you
Browns,
say that. I mean, he missed a good portion of last year, but the years before that, he only missed 2 games in 2022 and or 21 and 20.
he
Yeah.
was also a Raven, which was not a very good passing team. But then they
Yeah.
would
Oh man. Well, and Ravens are just injury prone. Period.
yeah
But we are at an hour and a half,
yeah.
so appreciate anybody that's still with us. We've got one person watching, probably my mom. Hi, mom.
Hey man.
But yeah, let's kind of run through these. So yeah, so we talked about Dak Lies and Super Bowl Sammy a little bit. Tight game, 106 points to
Yeah.
106.64 points to 102.32. Super Bowl Sammy just barely missing it. And I mean, McCaffrey, if he could have got a touchdown, that could have made the difference for him there. But also, I mean, Kyron Williams, 13 attempts, but only 53 yards. Had two receptions, but just didn't really produce as like he has in the previous weeks. Excuse me. I mean, like especially compared to last week, and I think that's the most disparaging thing is when you have these huge swings where they get 28 points one week, 8 points another, 27 points one week, 7 points another. It's such a pain in the ass to try and track and follow. And honestly, whenever you're, kind of putting them in, it's like you can't really just sit them and leave them. You got to look at, some of the matchups. But
Yeah.
so that one hurt him. Yeah.
If only he would have set Cortland Sutton and started Tutu Atwell.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh! Right? Yeah.
And it's not by much. Jerry Judy's
right.
actually was a
but,
play. Because I remember dropping Cortland Sutton, and the fact that he picked up Cortland Sutton and also has Jerry Judy, whoever Super Bowl Sammy is, not here, whoever they are.
Right.
It's tough when you have two receivers on the same team, and I do have that in one league where I have Nico Collins and Tank Dell in the same league, and I'm like.
Right, but it's two very strong receivers. It's just like having Nakua and Cooper.
Yeah,
it's like having Diggs and Davis. I mean, those are high-powered offenses that produce consistently.
Well,
the Broncos just aren't that fucking shit, man. They're not it.
No, they're two solid receivers. Whereas, like, I'd rather have the problem of having Puka and Cooper, and
yeah. I'm happy to have the Davis and Diggs problem.
And the Davis and Diggs problem. But I would not want to have the Cortland Sutton and Jerry Judy problem.
Yeah, definitely not. But you got another close game there. Sometimes it just comes to, who shows up. I'm not seeing any major injuries that really influence anything kind of throughout the day. It's good to see Christian Watson back, by the way. Welcome back. See money.
Who knew the Detroit Lions were going to outscore the Dallas Cowboy defense?
Right. Yeah. Who knows, man? I mean, they may be for real now, getting a little bit of steam. But
I like Detroit coming in the season. So
yeah. What I don't like is this guy keeping a head full of steam. Tar Heels for life.
Why would you start DJ Moore? Come on, dude. Just to bench him just to see what happens.
Oh my God, he lucked out because that motherfucker was on the trade block. Because we had talked. I think I even messaged you. I was like, "Hey, is that a bad trade?" Like, I asked you about something else. But I saw DJ Moore. I saw DJ Moore, and I was like, maybe I could get him on the cheap or something.
You could have.
Wish I would have done that on Wednesday or Thursday, but I didn't.
When I said the Bears were going to hibernation, I didn't ever drop nor gave up on my Bears. I was just trying to see who was going to put their Bears up for.
Sure. Yeah. Good little caveat, little asterisk next to that statement. My ass, man.
Hey, I didn't give up on Justin Fields, and I didn't give up on DJ Moore.
You didn't, but you also didn't practice what you preached on that week.
Oh, I started DJ Moore and I started Justin Fields every damn game that I had him, except for this fucking week for that one league. But I lost that league. But I started Justin Fields every time because I only had one quarterback and I stayed with him the whole freaking time because I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Sticking with him, that works out. Maybe not sticking with James Conner.
I'm not a big.
I've never been a big James Conner guy.
I've never been a big James Conner fan. I
Never
like it. I
really
like
been
that the
there.
fact that I like him as a person because he
Mhm.
defeated cancer. I like him
Right.
as that
Yeah.
much. The dude defeated cancer. How can
Yeah.
you not love that? That being
Yeah.
said, as a fantasy football running back, he had one great year, and last year was the second best year he had, and it was kind of a flukish type of thing because Arizona would get to the goal line and they would just give it to James Conner, and he would get a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah.
So James Conner had like a really good year last year.
Yeah. Well, for this game, so we can wrap up. Team Saquon Barkinsdale the third. Really just got hit with injuries and bye week. He has Barkley, who was out. I'm going to say Brown, that's out. Herbert was questionable, so maybe that's what kind of kept him there. Mims, I really wish the best for him because he's an Oklahoma guy. But and he's great whenever he gets fed, but it was just not that day. But then the bye week he had Herbert out, so injury bug, and then also just the kind of the bye week kind of hit him a little hard. Even though Evans and Palmer were out for Tar Heel for life, having ETN does help out as well as Tyreek Hill. Surprisingly, Tagovailoa didn't get as many points, but those 2 interceptions do matter.
Well, it helps that
But-
Jason has a golden horseshoe shoved up his ass. So
and just accidentally forgetting that one of the second highest production player is on his team.
Yeah.
For that week at least.
Oh, I looked back. I was like, who has DJ Moore in our league? Really?
Yep.
He does. You golden horseshoe motherfucker.
Yep. Turn that C, that's the Bears logo, turn it upside down and shove it right up your candy ass. Okay. Because you barely squeaked by me by a few points. You barely squeaked by Team Barkingsdale. You don't need to win by 1,000 points to win the Super Bowl.
Winning's winning. It's
winning
Vin
is winning.
Diesel.
But at the same time,
go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Your time's up, bud. All right.
We're just saying. We're saying
keep
on love.
Keep stroking that rabbit's foot.
A lot of love and a lot of envy is going on right now, and a lot of love in the same time. So
no, all hate.
You golden horseshoe mother trucker.
Yeah. No. But close matches this week.
Yeah.
Other than mine, that was a clear blowout. Reckless and Love Garden having a pretty significant decrease. But are we starting to see maybe a little bit of the balancing of the league, or is it just one of those weeks? That's one of those weeks. Because now we're in the bye season.
A little bit. I think we're going to see about 30% of the league kind of balancing. Because there's some teams. They need to make some moves, or they're just going to be really on the outside looking in.
Yep.
Let's see. Probably. So that's what I'm saying. 30%. So there's 2 teams that I look at. I'm like, you got to make some moves. I'm not going to name you names, but there's a couple teams I'm like, you got to make some moves. That's what I'm saying. Like 30%. But the rest of the teams kind of all right there. Like as long as you make the playoffs, it's anybody's game. Just stick with the waiver wires. If we can make some trades, make some trades. After listening to some things, I still will monitor to make sure the trades are legit. But I really am unless you're just, and I really don't want to sit there and tell you like, no, I'm not going to let this trade go through because I don't want to call somebody a dumbass. For that. So because I said that before as a commissioner. I will say this live on air. I listened to a couple podcasts and they're like, if you ever veto a trade, you're stupid. Because 2 grown people came to that conclusion. If that person decided to agree with that on that, then that's them. I'm like, yeah, but you don't know our league. But that being said, I still will monitor it, but
Yeah.
I expect you to understand that I will suspect collusion, and if there's collusion, I will definitely call that shit out.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, and what you're saying is if it's a disparaging, like if somebody's averaging 5 points,
right,
and you're trading them for
it's going to be a
someone that's
very
got
big,
20-30 point average,
very big,
yeah,
broad. Like
yeah,
why the hell did you trade for this, and this? It makes no sense other than the
yeah,
fact of like there's a kickback involved, there's collusion involved. Then
mhm,
yes, I will step in, but we're all adults.
yeah. Well, we're all adults, and I mean, for the most part, we're all pretty close to 500.
Yeah,
So going into this week, all but 4 teams were 500.
yeah, pretty much.
Of course, this week 5, we got an odd number, so that's changing a little bit. We're gonna have the Tar Heel for life at 5-0. We're gonna have who was the champion 2 seasons ago. We got the reigning champion, so the Hilltoppers at 3-2, but they're going to be right behind Olave Garden, who's actually
Yeah,
going to be moving up to 4-1.
I like a Love's Garden team too. Yeah,
Yeah, right. I mean, we kind of picked it apart as far as some of the bad, but it just comes down to the week. And then you have Dak Lives Matter, who got the win this week. That's going to be moving up to 3-2. And then you also have Gift's team. What did he name it this time?
Blackpool Combat Club.
Yeah, it won't show the full name for me for some reason. It just says Blackpool.
Yeah, it's a wrestling thing.
Yeah, but yeah, whatever lame ass name that is, that's what he named it. But yeah, it's still early. But it's
you and
also
Gift
not
are always
early.
going to come down for the last playoff.
Oh my gosh, probably. And then even that match is going to be coming down to the wire. Like, I mean, it's just our plot in life.
I can just see it, like just because it's just like the disparity and like, oh, Gift just 1 game ahead of you and you're 1 game behind. I'm like, it's going to come down to you and Gift in the last playoff spot.
Yeah, we're gonna be kind of trading off, but
yep.
But yeah, man, I mean, exciting week. I mean, yeah, definitely aggravating that I ran into a buzzsaw, but I was that buzzsaw last week, getting 180 points. It's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, in another league that I've been in since I was in the 4th grade, we scored like 102 points, which it's a low scoring league, and they scored 150. Like, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
In that, when you run into Jamar Chase and Brees Hall and the Saints defense,
man, right?
I mean, what are you supposed to do in that situation? And we scored about 140 the week before, but we had to bench Kenneth Walker this week. So
yeah,
it happens.
Yeah, those bye weeks, man.
Yeah.
And this one looked like it hurt kind of quite a bit.
Yeah,
with some of the
bye
good
weeks
teams,
hurt.
But
if you find me a team that went undefeated through fantasy, I'll call them a liar.
Yeah. So. Well, I mean, hopefully we can call Jason a liar here soon. Because
I honestly wanted to go like undefeated and just lose in the playoffs at this point.
Oh, I would love that.
That'd be
unless I had to play him again. I don't want to lose again to him because that was absolute garbage. But but yeah, man. I mean, yeah,
that golden horseshoe is going to run out of juice eventually.
The horseshoe is going to drop out of his ass sometime. But yeah, man. I mean, we did it, man. I think this is one of our longest shows.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well, meant to be, but here we are
next week. But yeah, any final thoughts before we sign off, my man?
No, just always a pleasure. Always a joy to do the show every week. Always look forward to it, and thank you for being you.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, thanks for being you, man. Thanks for bringing the heat. Thank you all for being you out there in the internet land. We appreciate you guys watching, whether it was live or if you're watching after the fact. But as always, you can follow us at Ruckus EV at everything. You can also join the Ruckus at our patreon.com/Ruckus EV. We definitely, need some support there so we can kind of start looking at pulling out some of the trailer park trivia because we're needing some more contestants for sure. Now we're coming up in wintertime. I think it's a good time to really kind of get that going. maybe a little bit of holiday fun. But then, you can follow us, and you can also give to us as well at streamlabs.com/RuckusEV. Soul myself probably need a new chair. We need new equipment. We want to make this a better experience for everybody. So if you have it in your heart to give before the end of the year, give it to us for sure. But other than that, you all take care. Much love. And we will see you, sometime next week, hopefully in a better mood. But take care.